Hi, Corey with Gold Rush Expeditions. Today we are out at the Price Group of Mines outside of Helena, Montana. This is it's a large group we've watched for a while, and it just barely came up and we snagged it. So now we're going to show you a little bit of what's going on around here. Just a little bit of background and history on this. This is a mine that shows you what some small miners with a little bit of ambition can do. We ran into a couple of guys that worked this a few years ago, and they said they came up for about 2 weeks a year, and they averaged maybe 300-400 ounces, but they have a plan of operations in place. They're using a little bit of heavy machinery, and they're using a trommel. Now, 300-400 ounces of gold is not a huge amount of gold, but they're also not paying too terribly much to be out here. So what I'm standing in front of right here is a historic cabin that was part of the Price Group. Take a look right here. You probably can't see, but it says Price Group Claims. It says what the recorder number is, Deer Lodge recorder, and it's got everybody's names on it. Kind of badass. So we're gonna leave that as it is. It's kind of locked up. No need to get into it. And as you know, when you buy a mining claim, you don't get ownership of this unless you put a plan of operations and say, hey, I'm using this in support of my mining operations. So let's take a look over here. So we're gonna walk around this claim a little bit, just kind of showing you little bits of interesting fun. As you can see, we're using this as part of a marker here. There's also markers in the trees and everything, but when you've got a mining claim, you want to let people know that you're out here. You want to let people know that it's active. That's kind of what this is. Spray painting Andrews Rudio #1 and keep the f off or else. Probably not the best way to make friends with your neighbors in the Forest Service. It just makes you look like a redneck kid. So if you take a look right behind me over here, you can see where they've started the placer operations. It's kind of the top of the hill here. And this is where they've been out fishing. You can see that's not stuff that you're gonna do with a shovel, and you're not gonna get your buddy out here with a little scuba suit to go dredging. You're gonna actually dig dirt out, you're gonna run it through a trommel, you're gonna get gold out, and you're gonna make money. You're not just gonna waste money out here. So let's take you around for some more of it.
As you can see, we've got some equipment here on the Price Group of Claims. Now, this isn't actually running at the very moment, but it hasn't been too long since it has. As you can see, everything here still moves, it still turns, it hasn't frozen up, which mining equipment that hasn't been used in a while will actually freeze up and you won't be able to move everything. So the new claimant could come and get this running again and actually use it in support of the mining operation. So what was this tractor being used for? That's a really good question. Up here you have a gulch, and up this gulch is an adit. And the previous claimants were taking the dirt from what's been coming out of that adit where the gold was, scooping it up and dumping it over here. Let's take a look. So the previous miners would take the dirt that they scooped up with this tractor, backhoe, whatever it's actually called, and they would drop it into this Grizzly right here. Now this Grizzly has a conveyor belt underneath it, and the conveyor belt has been put on a nice little angle to drop up into here a little hopper. So the Grizzly used the conveyor belt to drop the rock and the ore into this hopper. Now this hopper has a trommel attached to it, so the rocks and the gold and everything that the tractor has scooped up is actually going to come into here. This is going to spin, and with the centrifugal force that it creates, the gold, which is heavy, is actually going to come to the outside of the barrel, and the rock is going to stay inside. Then you come down here and you can see that this trommel is then perforated. The gold is going to come out of the perforations, and the rock, which is not as heavy as the gold, is going to kind of topple out the other side here. Now what happens with the gold? So you've got the perforations, the gold actually drops down, and it's going to come out this little chute right here. And as you can see, we've got this nice chute that goes off down here. So what happens now is, some of these have been taken out, but you've got these carpets. These carpets go inside here, and as the gold is coming down, you're actually going to get the gold caught in the little grooves of these carpets. Then you would stop your water, you'd take these carpets out, and then you would wash them out. And then you could pan that to separate the gold from whatever sediment is there. But this time, what you mostly have in these carpets is just gold. So this entire process, the way that they do it does require water. If you look over here, you will see that there is a water pipe. Now it's being pumped from down below, so we probably will find a pump of some kind further down on the claim. But the water was being pumped up, controlled here, and when they were washing the gold through, because they want the water to move it and then drop the gold to the bottom, you would have had that entire system set up. So as you can see, this is pretty much a turnkey operation. If you have the ambition to come out here and start mining, you could get your permit, you could use equipment, and you could start getting the gold that is just lying around all around us. We saw the holding pond. As you can see right here, this is a little suction. So it looks like they also were reusing the water from up top. So they would suck it up out of these little ponds, push it up that pipe up to the trommel. You can't really see from here, but the water from that trommel fell back down into this little ravine and then got collected up again in these little collection ponds. So they were recycling the water that they were using in the trommel. We also have over here the pump that I said we would probably find. Since we're downhill from where the trommel is, they needed a pump to pump the water and then push it up to the actual trommel. So here she is. We're wrapping up at the price group of claims. Now let me tell you a little bit about what we found. As I mentioned earlier, they were pumping water to the site where the trommel was. Below me here is the retention pond. Now this retention pond is actually getting its water from the adits that we found on the site. There are 2 adits in a headframe, which tells us there was a shaft. Why is this good for you? Because the gold that is in the lode is actually coming out into the water. You're using that water to pump up to the trommel, and that gold that is in the water is actually also going to flake out or nugget out, however it's going to come out, just like the rock that you're putting in there. So you're kind of getting 2 forms of gold from this particular site. Now they were also recycling the water up here. Above me there is some retention ponds as well, and what they were doing is having the water that was being used for the trommel trickle down into retention ponds. They have a pump inside those retention ponds, and then they were recycling it, sucking it back up and pushing it back up to the trommel. So you're getting the gold from the placer operations, from the dirt, from the top layers of it, plus you're getting the gold from the lode, which is in the adits. That's going to do it for the Price property today. For more pictures of the Price mine, go to our website, www.goldrushexpeditions.com. You'll also find other mining claims for sale there. For Gold Rush Expeditions, I'm Jessica, and we'll see you at the next site.